Echoes of Betrayal, Part 26. All eyes were on Hadley. Her body twitched violently and Roberts dropped to his knees beside her. Von Sanders still struggled against the guard's grip while Argos remained silently watching. Hadley convulsed once more, then went completely still. Roberts looked up, voice tight. What was in the vault? Argos hesitated. My brother realised the ship wasn't derelict, he said slowly. It was hibernating. What? Roberts froze, stunned. The star functions as a key, Argos said. Engineered by an ancient civilization, they were the ones who built the vault. Roberts stood still, absorbing every word. But why? He asked. We didn't know, not until it was almost too late, Argos replied. The star is only part of the puzzle. And the vault is the other? Von Sanders asked, his tone cautious. Argos turned towards him, the guards loosening their grip. The vault wasn't made for humans, Argos said quietly. It's a hibernation chamber locked by a biometric seal. Von Sanders frowned. Hibernation chamber? Robert stepped forward, concern sharpening his voice. What was hibernating? You didn't see it? Argos' voice trembled. What happened? Did the vault open? Roberts shook his head. No, we escaped, and the next thing we knew we were here. Argos froze. The vault hadn't opened. His mind raced. Could the system have degraded? Had the lock malfunctioned after all this time? You're certain? He asked, staring intently. Positive, Roberts replied firmly. Nothing opened. Von Sanders nodded in agreement. We would have seen it. Argos slowly exhaled, some of the tension easing from his shoulders. If the vault had remained sealed, then maybe, just maybe, they still had time. His eyes drifted back to Hadley, still unconscious. Whatever had been set in motion, it wasn't over. Argos's thoughts shifted somehow. Auchinleck had discovered the vault, but how remained a troubling mystery. They needed to return to Sanctuary and fast, prepare for the worst. Auchinleck still held all the cards. The star would need reconfiguration before it could be used, but even dormant, it was a symbol, a rallying point, and soon it would draw both allies and enemies to its light. Hadley stirred, a soft murmur escaping her lips. Roberts leaned in, willing her eyes to open. She blinked, her body tensed, limbs stiffening as her strength returned. What happened? Roberts asked gently. Hadley's gaze shifted towards Argos, who stood silent and distant. Help me up. Roberts supported her to her feet. Once upright, Hadley didn't hesitate. Release him, she said, without even glancing at Von Sanders. The guards obeyed. Von Sanders was free. Your plan won't work, Hadley said, staring at Argos. Her voice carried a new weight. You're too predictable. Auchinleck knows your tactics, she added, raising a finger. He doesn't have the star, we do. No, Hadley replied, voice calm but firm. I do. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Echoes of Betrayal. We're approximately about a third of a way through the story, and I'd love to know, if you're a regular listener or viewer, what your opinion is of the story so far and where you think it's going. These are just draft chapters of the book, and I'm kind of writing it as we go along. I've got a plan, and I know where we're going to end up, obviously. But as I say, these are just drafts, and once I've finished the story here, I'll obviously have it edited by a professional and do some rewriting and work in some different parts of the chapters. For example, with the incident in the vault, I've managed to make that into a standalone story. It's only a short story, but it's still there, and that will be weaved into the narrative. This is a prequel series to the main books that I write, which is the Fire trilogy, and I've released parts 1 and 2, that's Broken Seas Fire and Returned Fire. They're available on all good ebook platforms, or if you want a hardback or paperback copy, then unfortunately you've got to go through Amazon for that. So stay tuned. As I say, we're about a third of the way through the story so far. I'd love to know what you think of this particular series, and whether or not you'd like to find out more about Hadley, Von Sanders and the crew, and also the Star of Governance. The Star of Governance will be featuring quite a large part of the lore within this universe. So kind of think of it as Lord of the Rings in space. but with some science behind the fantasy elements. And yeah, I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you so much for taking time out to listen to this series, and get in touch. You can contact me at wayneblinco.com. That's my website. In the meantime, I'll be back very soon with another chapter. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then. Cheers.